I believe we are live and recording. I'll take 1 second. Yes, as live as we'll ever be, at least here. And yes, good morning from Portland, Oregon, everyone. I'm over here in the Pacific time zone, and I'm back with another episode of Notes on Conscious Leadership. And I'm here with my esteemed colleagues and co hosts, Mark DeFrancia, Stanley Fisher, and Mahir Patel. And today we actually have put together a little holiday special for everyone out there listening. I'm streaming this on a few different platforms, so no need to go into like why and where. But for sure, why are we doing this episode? Obviously, the holidays are coming up, and often this is a time of, you know, everyone kind of has their own story around the holidays, whether you're alone or whether you have family or friends that you spend it with. And maybe you're like kind of anticipating some drama or not feeling well or all sorts of stories and emotions. And we thought that we would put together this special to talk about how there's at least one value, but of course, whatever value is most important to you, how we can actually create a completely different experience for ourselves of the holiday season by leading with our values. So that's what today's special is about. And we want to dive in a little bit deeper around what are we talking about with values or core values, what's important to us. So, of course, I'd love to ask one of you. Would you like to kind of frame up what we're talking about when we talk about values, and then we can go into how do we lead with our values, or what do we mean by that?
Yeah, I'll frame that up gladly.
Thanks.
Um, so values. Last a couple years ago, until this is before you kind of knew us and were familiar with our work, but a couple of years ago, here Stanley, myself, and a few more coaches from Creative Self Mastery did um, a, a series, a weekly series. We did 2 hours a week for the entire length of lockdown. Um, and so it's 25 episodes. And one of the ones that we did was being the pace car during the holidays. It was called Being the Pace Car, and it's the idea that the pace car is always, out in front, setting the pace for the race. And so you're either going to be, leading or you're going to be following. Um, we believe, at Everyday Conscious Leadership that you can be a conscious leader and you can be a conscious follower. But um, and we give people tools for how to lead functionally, how to follow functionally. Yeah. The goal being to bring the energy to the best outcome for everybody involved in the project. And so we thought that would be a good value to work with today. So when we talk about values, like right now in America, there's a lot of talk on Facebook about values because people, or social media in general, about values. Saying if how can you have values that support, this candidate, um, and call yourself my friend or my family because those values put me in jeopardy. Yeah. There's a lot of, as a gay man myself, there's a lot of concern that, the Christian nationalists will kind of push their lobby to do some damage to gay rights here in the U.S. And the new regime that's coming in is aligned with the Christian nationalists. So there's a lot of people in my orbit right now that are going pretty crazy, kind of trying to justify having family and friends that have values that supported the candidate that may fuck up their life. Yeah. And now they're all going to get together in a room for Thanksgiving. A day that's supposed to be a beautiful day of thanks, a day of appreciating everything that's working, and a day of feasting and being joyous and being loving. Yeah. A day of connection. It's all at jeopardy right now because people are caught up in their thoughts and feelings, and labeling it values. Yeah. Um, that isn't just because you support a candidate doesn't mean that you don't have, that your values are against somebody else. Maybe it does. Maybe to you it means if you support him, you don't support me. But that's thoughts and feelings. Yeah. We try and leverage, you know, a higher vibration over thoughts and feelings, right? And that's values. So right now, I see a lot of people just really abusing the word values and saying, you know, it's your you know, it's beliefs, and they're calling them values, right? And they're saying you believe this and you believe that, and your party believes this, and every, you know, it's all just a bunch of thoughts and feelings. Nobody's actually going on values. So we decided that we do a bit today that will effectively cancel out any thoughts and feelings that you have around the way somebody's showing up, or around the idea that they're pushing their values or their thoughts or whatever, infusing that into the conversation. There's a way that you can, you know, lead that conversation to the best outcome for everybody, which means that the person who has the contrary opinion gets heard, yeah, and doesn't necessarily have to deal with a lot of crap for having an opinion, yeah, even an opinion that may be detrimental to you, right? Because the one thing that you can align on has a value that is consistent with getting together during the holidays and expressing love for the families, yeah, and their chosen family, yeah. And so that value goes right out the fucking door the minute people start thinking about politics, sex, religion, any controversial subjects, because we say, oh, well, we're not aligned in our values on those subjects, yeah. But we forget that we're aligned on one very specific value: to get together and love on each other. Yeah. And so to me, you know, we come in service to that end result of getting together and loving on each other, and that is the value that everybody has. Now, you know, we can turn around and take a value like that, knowing that everybody there ultimately would just love to get along and have a good time. And we can say, it is my value to be responsible for directing this energy so that it moves to the end result of everybody getting together and having a wonderful time. Yeah. And it will never be about talking somebody out of their values. It will never be about talking somebody out of their opinions. It will always be an organic movement that comes from your genuine desire to move the energy to the best outcome for everybody. Yeah. That's where I'll stop with that. Yeah. Anybody want to pick up from there?
Yeah, I'll pick up from there. Yeah, it's thank you for sharing that, Mark, because I think what happens with a lot of people, especially during the holiday time, during the holidays or any sort of family gathering, or whether you've had historically not such a great time during the holidays, or whenever your families are together, it becomes a fight for survival based on your thoughts and feelings, and you want to prove your thoughts and feelings more than anything, and that can be really detrimental, not to just the experience of the time you're having together, but even to your own well-being, to the point of how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you see the world. Like, you know, right now, like, you know, I'm having some intense thoughts and feelings about my relationship with religion, and how that is making me question, you know, whether I'm worthy or viable in the world. And the funny thing is, it's what I'm coming to appreciate is, if I decided to make an argument for why I should be a certain way, or whether just because I have strong thoughts and feelings about my own confusion or my own disorientation, it's very easy for me to withdraw myself from my family, from the people that are out there that actually could be served by my energy, by my presence. Now, one of the values that I really pride myself on is service, which is moving the energy to the best possible outcome for everybody. But when we're self-absorbed and we're consumed with our own thoughts and feelings, and these unquestioned values or unquestioned beliefs, there is no way that you're going to move the energy to the best possible outcome. You're going to be completely consumed with about what you think and feel, like it's a fight for survival, when really it's not really about you. And it's about a greater experience that you can have at any single moment. And I think everyone is striving for an experience like that. If we could all put our differences aside for just a few short moments or a few short days, you can have something that maybe will change something fundamentally within yourself. And even if it doesn't, at least you had an experience that actually was in alignment with your true values that you have consciously chosen to embody.
One of the things I
Yeah, I
see with
really.
my family when we get together. Oh, sorry, Taylor. I didn't mean to step on you.
It's okay. Go
One
ahead.
of the things I see with my family when we get together for the holidays is they bring a lot of history into it and judgment, and they have a case built to use against other family members when they know there's someone there that they're irritated with, and it's sometimes feel like it's always me because I tend to believe on some level I'm the black sheep of the family because I don't follow a lot of the dysfunction in our family. And I have one relative in mind that I'm thinking about now. And I know that when she walks in the room, you get this kind of fake plastic smile, but inside, and you can see it in her energy, she's judging and she's just wanting to have a go at you on some level. And she brings all that history into the room and makes it virtually impossible to have an authentic, honest, loving connection to them because of what they're harboring and bringing into the room, that dysfunction and lower vibrational point of view. And I have learned over the years to set the pace in a different way so that that doesn't get in the way of it. So we don't end up in some argument or wishing I wasn't there or avoidance or to commiserate with other family members about how she's showing up. And we just recently got together and I haven't seen her in about a year or two. And I decided to come in really setting the pace and my values and had a really good outcome with her, but you could still see the dysfunction and that she was bringing into the room, the childish behavior. And I really wish more of my family took on those values to have a more connected experience when we get together on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to what Mahir was saying because you brought up two things, the questioning and then survival. And I thought it was interesting because I was just showing the guys before we started recording. I found this local newspaper here in Portland, and it literally on the front it says holidays for humans, top-notch advice for surviving the season. And so if we're not if I were to just look at this maybe a few years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, I gotta read that. Like, how am I gonna get through this season? I'm always alone for Christmas, and poor me. But actually nowadays when I see something like that, I'm like, oh, I want to dig into this and question this, because why is, like Mark was saying, such a time where we're actually trying to come together and love on each other, a time of so much contempt and like arguing, and why do we have to survive, why do we have to get through a holiday season? So I think it's, part of having a look at what we value and what's important to us is asking ourselves questions like, oh, I think that I value going here and there, or being with other people for the holidays, but is that actually what I want and what I need and what's important to me? Or is there maybe something else happening that I'm not looking at, where someone's inviting me over for the holidays, and because I'm so focused on, oh, poor me, I'm alone, I'm like completely missing out? Or also, like Mark was saying, not stepping into a different vibration where I'm like, well, wait, what would I like to have? And then actually going out into my neighborhood or even in my house and being like, hey, what are you doing for the holidays? May I join you? I'd love to bring, cook up, some eggnog for us or something. Um, yeah.
So, all right. So, Taylor, what you're loosely talking about right now is end results. Yeah, deciding that you don't have to have a traditional Christmas or traditional holiday experience, that you can create an end result for whatever you want to experience for that holiday: connection to people, or being happy being alone. Whatever is true for you. But and so what we're talking about right now is that if you adopt having a specific end result for the holiday, whatever holiday you're going to, then you're not going to get bogged down in the thoughts and feelings. And when you're tempted to get bogged down with thoughts and feelings around how different you are, how different your values are, and how I can't respect you because you have values that conflict with mine. No, that's not true. You can respect somebody and agree to disagree. You can respect somebody who has values different than yours. Um, you know,
But I
as a
think what's also, yeah, because just like end results, I'm finding that like values can be a guiding. So like when I'm hearing Stanley's story, and I have a similar story that happened just last night. Like if you're in a room where someone is like keen on being like, oh, this sucks, or that person is gonna judge me and I'm gonna be a monster here at Christmas. I was checking out at a Walgreens, and as I approached the register, I was like, hey, how are you? And the guy was like, oh, I'm just surviving. But I had in mind like, okay, well, I'm value right now, like I'm doing this traveling around America, and I value having fun and enjoying my time. And so I held that more as like a guiding force for me, where I was like, oh, okay, well, he actually did ask me how I'm doing, but I was like, well, I'm actually doing really great. It's my first time in Portland and I'm enjoying it, and I live in Germany. And me kind of stepping into that value and holding that for myself, then I watched him also get more curious and perk up, and his vibration raise up. And by the time I was leaving, he was like, have a great time in Portland. And he wasn't just surviving anymore.
well, okay, and again, so we're talking about knowing what experience you want to have. I'm calling it that an end result, and I'm saying that there are values that everybody can share, that can serve as an end result. You know, um, really coming, bonding, having a heart-based, connection at the holidays, really, connecting on a deeper level, is a value that everybody theoretically brings to the holidays. Nobody would deny being, bonding on a deeper level with their family and friends. They might not think it's possible. They might have thoughts and feelings that get in the way of that ever happening. But if everybody adopts, a value of connection, if everybody adopts a value of contributing energy that leads to the best outcome for the holiday for everybody involved, which might mean having to bite your tongue a little bit when somebody's talking. And it might mean having to master your own thoughts and feelings and say, those aren't important. My values, I'm living my values today, not my thoughts and feelings.
Mm.
And my values are going to guide the decisions I make and the way I move energy around the room. Every time you make a decision to do something, every time you make a decision to open your mouth, you have an opportunity to guide something functionally or dysfunctionally. And we're just saying that if you adopt a value of service to the best outcome for all, then and you stick with that, and you don't let your thoughts and feelings get in the way, and you turn around and you might have to bite your tongue when Weird Uncle Freddie is talking about how how great the future is going to be for him. That may bother you a bit. It may even frighten you a bit or make you angry, but you don't have to run with those emotions. You can run with another emotion, a love-based emotion that says, hey, we're here to love on each other. We're here to have great experience. We're here to connect. And so I'm not going to get involved in the conversation. I'm going to actually shift the conversation. Yeah. Or I'm going to let Uncle Freddie be heard. And I'm going to tell him that, that he's entitled to his opinion. I don't necessarily have to share his opinion in order to be able to have an experience with him. This is the thing, when you do as much collaboration as we do at Creative Self Mastery, you start to learn that the only way that you can collaborate with people, you can't be completely aligned on all your values. You can't be completely aligned on all your beliefs, but you can be aligned on enough of them, one or two of them, or just enough of them to get you through the experience and to have a great experience because you are aligned on the things that you're aligned on, right? So all we're asking you to
that
do is,
experience, the experience doesn't always feel good, right? There's moments in those experiences. I just want to add that because we're
yeah,
to like emphasize on the thoughts and feelings, because the four of us, when we're working together, I don't always feel good, but in the end, still, when the experience completes itself, I do get what I want, and then we're all, uh, like supporting each other in that, but still we agree on our differences.
Yeah, I had a session with
Yeah.
a client yesterday, and I met him in person. He lives up in North Carolina. I brought him up something from Florida in my generosity of spirit that he needed. And we had a 2 hour session. And historically, when I'm working with this guy, he goes on and on and on, and he can suck the life out of the room. And there came a point where, he looked at me and he goes, "You seem irritated on some level." And I'm like, "I am." I'm like, "You cut me off, and you over explain everything until the life gets sucked out of the room." And I said, "The reason I'm sharing this with you is because I'm using my values of being transparent and honest to teach you something." And I said, "But I don't act on those emotions. I can tell you where my pain points are, what I'm feeling, and historically what it's like to work with you." Because he's a relatively new client. We're working out the dysfunction to clean a lot of it up. And I said, "But if I act on my emotions, you and I are going to end up in an argument. I'm self mastered." I was like, "I'm just slightly irritated because you keep redirecting what I'm trying to do, and I only have 20 more minutes to pull it off and before we have to leave." And it ended up shifting the whole conversation, and I got my end result. And beyond that, if I had acted on those dysfunctional emotions that I was feeling because of the history of irritation of what it's like to work with him, then it wouldn't have turned out the way it did. I even explained to him what values I leaned into to get the outcome of what I wanted. And so I just wanted to share that point of view because it was groundbreaking for the experience I'm having with him as a client.
Yeah, I can add something to that. I have family in for the holidays, and one of my family members brought my sister brought her best friend, who I'd not met, but they've been friends for about 20 years, and I've still not met this guy. So she brought him, and we're fine. We're not completely aligned on anything really. But we're aligned enough. But we had a very there was I like a good heated discussion. So we got into the topic of race, um, and um, and this guy, he's an educator. He has to be politically correct. He's got to think about things from different perspectives than the ones that I was presenting. Um, and so he wasn't. It was a lot of thoughts and feelings that he was presenting, um, and that irritated me. Yeah, I'm going to get irritated. That doesn't mean I'm going to act on it. This is what Stanley was just saying. I have thoughts, I have feelings. It creates emotions, but I don't have to act on those emotions. Everybody else in the room is going to have thoughts and feelings that are going to generate emotions, and those emotions are going to generate behavior. I'm conscious enough to understand that I can put a gap between what I'm feeling and the behavior I exhibit, and have a space where I remember what's fucking important, right? Where I go back to my
Amen.
value, right? Of sharing with, of having that connection with my family, of moving the energy to the best outcome for all. And I knew that if I argued with my sister's best friend and he got upset at the first day of a 10-day trip, that it was not going to move the energy to the best outcome for anybody, right? And it certainly was going to get in the way of me bonding with my sister. And I don't get very many chances to bond with my family, so I'm not going to miss the opportunity. So connection was important, but I had a value, an end result. I valued that there was an end result of moving the energy to the best outcome for everybody. That would mean that he would need to feel like he was heard and understood, because that's really important to humans. Yeah. And she would need to feel like like he and I both obeyed the boundaries and stayed, civil, and that nobody got out of hand. And my sister and I grew up in a house where things got out of hand a lot, all the time. So she has a lot of history with that, a lot of thoughts and feelings generating for her as well. Yeah, and I'm aware of all of it. And so I'm aware of what energy is going to move her, and what energy is going to move him, and what energy is going to move me, and what energy is going to move my husband. And I'm aware of all of the energies, and I am making a conscious decision outside of my emotions to move the energy to the best outcome for everybody. And when I switch out of the emotions that are trying to generate dysfunctional behavior, and I switch into that end result, that value that generates love in my heart, then the love guides the conversation from there. Right? That's what it
And
is.
this is
Yeah,
the pace car that Mark mentioned earlier. Mark, then what you then become is the pace car in the room. Then he's setting a pace in terms of energetic vibration, and then
yep.
it's amazing to watch because people can't help but to meet you there. And if there's one in the room, like maybe your aunt Stanley or something, who struggles, then you can still make a little extra effort, right? And then just love on her even more, and then eventually it becomes so thick in the room that actually does feel good, right? Because then we are actually in our loving hearts and feeling the warm love that we all sing about in our holiday songs and Christmas carols.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I want to talk about a little bit about we said Marx we use the term dysfunctional behavior, and I think a simple way of kind of reminding ourselves what that really means is actually, for me, it means operating from our pain. And a lot of people during the holidays or in life in general can operate from their pain, their thoughts and feelings, and they want to prove their pain in some shape or form. But I think it's incredibly masterful, and it's a great quality of leadership to be with the tension of other people's thoughts and feelings, aka their pain, and just be like, not make it the focus. It's okay for it to exist, but we don't have to do anything with it. We don't have to resolve other people's tension, because you have a destination in mind, which is to live and to embody and to experience your values and your end results. It sounds simple. It's not very easy, but it's the most efficient way of having a reality that you can have an experience that you truly want, despite having dysfunction, despite having pain, despite having the vibration of some of your family members or people you love, or including yourself, feeling like, oh, I have to survive this. Survival is truly a crappy vibration to operate from, and it doesn't do anything. Survival has got nothing to do with values or anything like that. Survival just basically means I need to just get through this, and it's not at all a powerful place to operate from, and it's a painful place to operate from. But if we can actually just realize, really see ourselves in a powerful space, like, look, actually, I can choose consciously the type of experience that I want, and I can make a emboldened attempt, a courageous attempt to be like, let's set the pace here and have a different experience. And you don't have to have it all figured out either. It's, as Mark said, and we're all saying here, there is an energy within us that does want to experience love, but we have to allow that to emerge, and it has to allow to operate. It has to emerge quite naturally. But if we try and doctor it and try and get in our own way through our thoughts and feelings, and by proving our thoughts and feelings, you won't allow yourself to have that experience. So we have to have that space that we're talking about, and let that space allow you, between your thoughts and feelings and your values and your truths, to actually emerge and be, actually, no, there's a much more profound experience that can be had in these most delicate moments. Delicate, yes, most celebratory moments.
Yeah, I'm really glad you bring that up because I wanted to add that too. When Mark said it, Mark said that he's at a point where he can clearly feel inside of him what's going on, but he doesn't have to act on them, right? That's not true for all of us. Not all of us have been practicing this so long, especially me. Um, and so when Mahir says, like, give yourself that space, it might mean that, you got to go give yourself a little pep talk, or a little give yourself a hug in the bathroom or in the mirror, and be like, all right, what is my focus again today, or these next few days? Like, what's the values I'm choosing to lead with here? What do I want to accomplish? And then what am I feeling? And there is a level of kind of being there for yourself, because you can't expect everyone else in the room to be there for you. And so it's not about bypassing our emotions. It is about, okay, I am experiencing these thoughts and feelings, but is that really appropriate for the situation? Where might this be coming from? Is it from the past, from personal history, from assumptions I'm making? Okay, I see that, and really that all doesn't matter because I want to end up here. I want to be in a loving experience with my family, and I want to show up in a way that's gonna serve to create that in this room. And so, okay, let me give myself a hug. Let me I see you emotions, I see you thoughts and feelings, but like that's not what's important right now. And then, it does become obvious to you what you need to do next.
What you just
But
described,
definitely.
I feel, is what we call acceptance, and you moving into acceptance around the fact that you have this experience inside yourself and the potentiality of other people's thoughts and feelings and an unhealthy, painful experience. That there's a level of acceptance that we got to have about it being an outcome. But if you know that's always been the outcome, I mean, it's very easy to have a slightly different outcome. If you know that there's a probability, what we use the term structure, a structural probability that something's going to happen and it always does, then we can say, okay, we don't have to worry too much about history repeating itself. We know it will, so we can accept that history may repeat itself. But can we choose something different and have a different experience? And the way to get that space that we want to create with it between what's possible and what we've known in our history is the acceptance.
I want to talk about survival, because it is really it is really an energy that people adopt during the holidays. I'm going to survive this. How the hell am I going to survive this? How the hell am I going to survive being in a room full of people that supported a candidate that I can't stand? Yeah, that's the biggest question here right now. I live in in an area that I live in Asheville. Asheville was absolutely devastated, even destroyed, by a geological event. Hurricane Helene came in and dumped up to almost 3 feet of water, 30 inches of water, in some places even more. That water came off the mountains and created a geological event, close to 2,000 landslides. The terrain, the topography of this area has been changed forever. Asheville it just got its water on last Monday after 52 days without drinkable water. This is a true survival experience, right? And in the middle of it, we had an election where a candidate that is very popular here won the election, and that meant that but it's still very close in this part in Asheville. Outside of Asheville, it's a little bit more. It gets a little bit more definitive, but in Asheville, it's very purple. There are people that support Democrats and people that support Republicans, and there was a fear that things would start to disintegrate into a survival mentality of like Lord of the Flies type energy. Once either candidate won, once the election was over, there was a fear that the thoughts and feelings would run rampant and it would destroy the goodwill. But the thing is, yes, we are in survival mode, but the vibration is not survival. The vibration very clearly is serve thy neighbor, is service. People are serving their neighbors. Yeah, they are, whatever little they have, they're sharing. People are looking across all boundaries, race, religion, politics. They don't give a shit right now. None of those values are as important as serving your neighbor. It is the most amazing and painful experience I've ever had at the same time. Yeah, so painful to see my community so devastated, to see so many people have lost their homes and have no place to live. There's not even FEMA housing yet. It's been 2 months. Winter's here, and people still don't have homes. That should be a survival mentality, and that should be a survival like Lord of the Flies survival mentality. But it's not here. The generosity of spirit hasn't wavered, not once, since that storm hit. Everybody is serving each other. And it's a damn good thing too, because nobody in this country even has a fucking clue what's going on here. Nobody even knows, because the election overshadowed it. All they know is we got hit with a hurricane. They have no idea the
The news,
magnitude of this event.
the news stopped talking
And
about it as well
you should
because
be surviving. Sorry, Stan. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I didn't mean to step on you either. No, and the news stopped talking about it too because it doesn't generate the ratings that they need. You know, it's been totally forgotten about what you guys are going through. And I came up there and have visited twice now and saw the devastation. I just drove through the other day to get to where I'm at. I'm on the east side of North Carolina, and I got to see more with my own eyes. I'm like, man, I can't believe it's been this many months. And you know, I saw some progress,
It's,
but I didn't see nearly as much as I thought I would.
we're just getting out of rescuing and moving into recovery after 2 months. We finally have drinkable water. Things are starting to ease up a bit, but the devastation, the cleanup, that is just starting. You know, cleaning up that devastation is just starting. Um, and so what I'm saying is, if for the foreseeable future, our Asheville will be in a survival state, yeah, trying its best to survive. But the people are bringing a service value to it. They are in service to each other, and they are, overwhelmingly, um, all the barriers are gone, and people are just treating people like people. Yeah. You can do it for a day. If we can do it for 2 fucking months under these circumstances, you can do it for a day.
Yep.
Yeah? You can put everything aside, focus on the values that unite you, and use those values to drive the event, the holiday, to a great conclusion of connection and the best outcome for everybody. Yeah. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to leave feeling good. Some people, you can't help the way they're going to think or feel, but you can make sure that in your event, that person wasn't abused, and that if that person feels like they were abused, it's because it's on them and not on the actions of other people. Yeah? That's where I am. That's my approach. You know, I come into an event in service to the group, in service to the values of the group that we share, and in service to moving the energy to the best outcome for everybody in that group event. Yeah? It doesn't fail. It's never failed me, ever. Yeah.
Awesome. And that's also a great note to end on as we are reaching the 40-minute mark. I do
Okay.
want to add that in our, oh yeah, go ahead.
Can I just interrupt really quickly? Yes, this is a big topic, and we've done 30 minutes. We've done 40. Normally we do 30, but because it's such a big topic, there's 2 podcasts that you can find called "Being the Pace Car During the Holidays." That will give you more information, and there's a very good chance that we're going to do a longer version of this podcast, as in the approach to the December holidays. I just wanted to make sure that we got that out.
Yeah, definitely. And also I've put with this episode we're still obviously raising funds for the Miss Path Sanctuary, the horse sanctuary equine educational charity that Mark and his husband are running in near Asheville, North Carolina. So there's a link to a GoFundMe page there that I've put up. But of course, you can always visit their website and donate in whatever way is true for you. And yeah, if you enjoyed this episode and if you are going to be leading either with the value of service or one that you've picked out while you've been listening, we would love to hear from you, and for you to let us know how it goes for whatever holiday that you're celebrating, whatever's coming up. What's closest for us Americans here is Thanksgiving this week, but of course there's many other holidays happening over the next few months. So we'd love to hear from you. You can DM us on social media. You know all of our names: Stanley Fisher, Mark DeFrancia, Taylor Coburn, Mihir Patel. Or you can also email us at admin@everydayconsciousleadership.com. Or you can comment right on this video. We would love to hear from you, and looking forward, actually. So that's it for today. Thank you, Stanley, Mihir, and Mark, for joining me again in another episode and in this very special episode. And we will be coming back more regularly with our Notes on Conscious Leadership show with a new season since season 2 ended. And yeah, we wish everyone happy holidays for now. And we'll see you soon. And yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thank you.